All right. Y'all know we're looking down at this thing all day.
I know.
If
See
yours
if it's
starts
like
blinking,
blinking.
it'll freak out.
Yeah.
I think we're good now, though. I'm going to open this up with some prayer. I'm going to read just a little section from Matthew 5, 14 to 16. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Lord, we just pray that we would glorify you in what we do with our life. We pray that we would glorify you in this time that we have here to just connect and talk and conversate. Thank you so much for your providence and your gifts and your direction. I just pray that everything that you've given us, Lord, we would use to cause others to see that there's no good in us without you, that you would receive glory for your unbelievable grace and your presence in our life. We thank you so much for that. We thank you for Jesus, the truth of the gospel, that we might know you forever through him. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So, Payton Dunbar, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
doing
me.
this. Flew all the way in from Providence, Rhode Island, just for Hungry Holler episode number 3.
100%. Yeah.
We'll kind of just fly through whatever, but your story is pretty cool. Now, I've known you for a long time, before there was even a story or any of that stuff. So we go way back, but
Sure.
it kind of even gives me a deeper perspective on where you've come, not just as an athlete, as a person, but primarily just where you're at right now in your young life. Just this journey that you've had through the game of basketball has been unbelievable. You went to Narrows through
8th grade.
8th grade.
6th through 8th grade. Yep.
6th through 8th. And then you graduated from Jefferson Christian Academy.
I graduated from Dunbar Academy, homeschooled, but I played all my years of basketball
at
JCA.
through, because you were homeschooled, and then okay. And then, as far as basketball goes, you blew up, right?
Yeah.
You left JCA a couple years ago, went to the University of Virginia over an impressive list of other schools. Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Rutgers, Michigan, Providence, to name a few. Year 2, transferred to Providence, playing in the Big East. Last year, just a few things. You started 32 games. One of 11 players ever at Providence to hit more than 50 threes in a season. That's pretty neat. One of 11.
Yeah.
Career high 22 points against Boston College from the ACC. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Very blessed to have the season that I did. Want to do better. Like, I'm always chasing better. It's weird to hear those stats like read to me, because I'm always like, dang, I didn't do exactly what I wanted to do, because I'm always shooting for more. Yeah. But yeah, like, last year was good, and recognizing that is good for growth.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. First year, really, because you reclassed. As far as your age goes, you reclassed to go early?
Yeah, so I reclassed in the 9th grade to go back a grade because I was undersized, wanted to give myself more time to develop, to get to the level I wanted to, because I didn't have any like looks or anything from colleges yet. And then whenever I blew up, colleges wanted me to come early, redshirt, to be under their development, since I didn't have a ton of resources through JCA. They don't have like a weight room or anything, and that was just what seemed like the best decision at the time. Yeah.
In the 8th grade, was it?
8th grade.
Tried out for a travel team?
I think that was 7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah.
Tried out for a travel team.
Yeah.
What happened?
I got cut. 3 people tried out. There were 2 spots. I was the one person that got cut on the local travel team. Uh-huh. So that was a hard time. I had a lot of my peers playing for that team already, and I knew I had a dream to pursue as far as going to college and playing basketball at the highest level I could. So I was like, this is the stepping stone in that direction. All the best girls from Narrows are playing on this team and in the area, local area. So I was like, dang, let me go try out. My friends told me it was like pretty much guaranteed I'm going to make the team. And I showed up. I thought I killed it. I went home and told my dad, I was like, I'm going to be on this team. I definitely made it. I heard my dad get the phone call. Uh-huh. And I just immediately knew, dang, I got cut. And he came in and I just broke down crying. It was the first heartbreak I feel like I had. Because being cut just sucks. But I don't know. That setback really was the canon event to I want to take this seriously. And I played all summer. Instead of playing AAU, I played with the boys team with my brothers and played with them. So I got roughed up, learned how to play at a faster speed. And then, the next year they were like, we want you to play for us. So that was the first time I learned to handle hard the right way.
Mm-hmm. That's big.
Yeah.
Because it don't stop, it doesn't stop. That was just the first real one. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to pursue anything that you want to be great at, this is just where you're at right now. And there's other areas in your life where you're probably still trying to pursue being great at. But to be able to take it in the mirror, to look in the mirror and have every thought that you thought about where you were or what you were going to do and how this game was going to relate to your life or whatever, that does not stop happening, and being able to handle that, because there's not a playbook.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's not oh, okay, that sucked. I just had my life ruined. Let me open up to page 5 and see what I'm supposed to do now.
I wish. I wish it was like that. That'd be nice.
It's tough. But from that point forward, you called it a canon moment? Yeah,
it was kind of that moment. And my dad, I remember, it was Michael Jordan. He got cut from his high school team or an AAU team, something like that.
10th grade. Yeah, he got cut from the varsity.
Exactly. And I was like, that put a chip on my shoulder. And I always had little man syndrome because I was always smaller than everybody else. And that was the reason that they gave me for cutting me. They were like, she's going to get killed. She's way too small, skilled, but just undersized. And I was so upset with that. And that really put a chip on my shoulder as far as I'm going to prove all these people wrong. And I still maintain that. I'm still that person that wants to go prove everybody wrong with everything I do because I'm from a small town. And that's just always been my go-to.
Do you still have a chip?
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's always going to be that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing at all. You gotta.
Yeah.
Especially at this level. Look, D1 ball, mid-major ball, whatever. The Big East, girls, don't how do you not perform? You can't, you have to have something beyond just, some good physical ability.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
That was one of the buddy and I played at Tech back in the day, and I think it was Coach boys basketball. I think it was Coach Foster back when they won the NIT, but he said he had this thing that he used to always point out or write on the board, and it was a ratios or whatever. The mental is to the physical as 4 is to 1. And it's one thing to always be a hard worker physically, right? Which you have been, especially from that moment forward. Yeah. Just whether it's weight room, whether it's with the boys, whether it's I'm going to push myself to the limit physically. But what does it take to be successful mentally? at this level?
Mental is the biggest separator, I would say, for sure. Especially at the college level, you learn that the minute details of your mind are the most important things. And especially over the summer, my position coach, she's just been, railing these like mental cues into me in my individual workouts whenever things get hard in practice. And I've been having to run the point guard over the summer, and that's really helped me with physicality and like my mental side of slowing things down within the game and handling adversity, being the person controlling the tempo. And it echoes into every single piece of your life as far as, I want things to be hard. It's like, you're not on the best team in practice because we always split up into 2 teams. And she's like, you got the freshmen today, and like, how are we going to communicate with them? How are we going to handle this hard? And she said, every day I want you to want to have the team that you get most frustrated with, the players that you don't click with immediately. And that's been a really big piece for me as far as locking into just embracing hard and wanting to feel like I'm being pushed, because it's easy to just like sit in the comfort zone and cruise, but nothing happens there. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. And and the Lord's been a big part of that for me, as far as wanting to be excellent takes going through trials.
Yeah. It's pretty clear and obvious throughout Scripture that trials and tribulations are not something that we are supposed to be surprised with. But I think the more you can let those things push you to the Lord, right? To just see, like, the only way I can perform in this situation, the only way that I can handle these things the right way is by putting you first in my life.
Yes.
And so we went back. So you played 8th grade at Narrows?
Yes. Yeah.
And then after the 8th grade, you played 9, 10, 11, 12 at JCA?
Yeah, I did.
Got cut from a travel team in the 7th grade. I think I've heard you say before you never started a game.
Yeah,
in middle school or something.
A game at Narrows, which that was really tough for me. I always thought, I don't know, maybe it's cocky, but I just always thought that I should be out on the floor. And so that was really difficult pill for me to swallow, and I would just always come home. And whenever I'd complain to my parents, they'd be like, you have to make it obvious if you want to play. Make it, there'd be no question, whoever's playing in front of you in your position, dominate them in practice. Make it obvious. And that's what you have to do at the college level, because there always is going to be a level of like politics that comes to it. Like, did you play on this AAU team, like at the college level, because they want to retain that recruiting pool. And there's just always those little things, but you have to make it to where winning's the number one priority for a coach. They want to win, so make it so obvious that you're a piece to that winning. And whenever I got the opportunity to go to JCA and COVID hit, I wanted to stay at Narrows. That was always my goal, was to finish my career at Narrows. I love the community there, and that kind of got ripped away from me through COVID, but I didn't realize like what a blessing that was to go to JCA and have the community that I did. And I'm just very grateful for that.
COVID.
Yeah.
Messed up everything.
It did. It did.
Yeah, I think Collier got like, what was that, COVID? His 8th or 9th grade? I think it was 9th grade year when we were in COVID. Yeah, he was in the 9th grade, because they got like 8 games his whole freshman season. It was a mess. Hated that time. All that happened back when you were 14, let's say.
Yeah.
14 years old. And then last year, you're playing for Providence, going head to head with the WNBA number 1 draft pick, Ozzie Fudd.
Yeah. She's something. She's the real deal. Yeah. You playing UConn on their senior night, which we did. We played them at their arena on their senior night. And I remember being out there for jump ball and my knees were shaking. And it wasn't because like I was crazy nervous. It was because it was so loud and electric and everybody was jumping up and down. I just looked around and it was like a childhood dream come true to just have a packed out arena playing against the UConn Huskies, like this legendary program. Gino Ariama's right there. And it was just so cool. And we got killed that game, but I don't know. It just, that's whenever it clicks. Like you're living a dream that your, elementary school self had. And just to not get mad at the little barriers that you want to be better at this, be better at that, and just enjoy the moment.
That's the thing at the next level that is I talk about this, think about it all the time. Being in those moments, being in those arenas. Collier goes to UT this year to play Tennessee. They play at Maryland. They play Tech at the Castle. Just thinking about that as an athlete, I never got to experience that. We watch every one of your games. I love seeing it. I love seeing you guys. I love, the excitement of watching my son, compete to try to step into those arenas and play. But like the player that you are before you step into an arena like that, sometimes it's hard to find. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like I talk about this with him all the time, but like some guys are just free and you don't think about it. Like you don't think about Caitlin Clark, when she was at Iowa, and she's still a lot like that, but when she was at Iowa, that was the freest player I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
She just did not care. She didn't think, Curry. Some of these guys, I don't know, Trae Young back in college, he was kind of like that. But like to be able to step into not just organized college basketball, that's one thing. Like I was never able to figure that out at the college level. Now, put me in a men's league, with 5 or 6 of my buddies.
Yeah.
And there was nothing going on. And it was just like, I can do whatever. Everything feels good. You're kind of like, the whole game slows down. You've been in those moments where you've just had these unbelievably free. You're not really thinking about, should I shoot this or should I shoot that? And everything you do feels perfect. But when you step into an arena like that and you're like, it's overwhelming, I got to imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Like just physically.
Yeah.
That's what, to see, that's the thing to me as a college athlete that I think it fascinates me is how do you get yourself to that point where you're just playing ball. Like there's no, there's nothing that's just knocking you off. There's, you standing there in waiting on the jump ball at UConn. Yeah. You're not playing any different game than you've ever played your entire life.
No, it's the same game.
But it's just a moment.
Yeah.
And that scales itself out, I think, not just to the big games, but like to your whole life. Like I'm playing college basketball. All of a sudden that moment and that reality a lot of times can kind of you start overthinking.
Oh, yeah.
You start, do you ever struggle with that? Like,
oh my gosh.
Like
yeah.
trying to get to that point where you step on the floor at UConn next year and it's like,
let's go.
I'm at the park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm loose.
Yeah. It's been a journey to get to the point where I am now as far as, that game day pressure, especially in the big moments, the big arenas where so many people are watching you. The biggest thing for me is like resting on the work that you've done and knowing that the game's going to take care of itself and you've been playing this game forever. And for like a game like UConn, everybody always says you're down 20 in warmups because of the jersey that they put on, everything. And that's how it is with these big teams. It's all mental. It's a mental block that causes them to get up 20 points in the first quarter. And as far as playing free, like you just got to rest on that work that you've done. And it takes experience. Like people are going to mess up, especially early on in your career. And last year, I almost see as kind of a freshman year because I'm stepping into a big role on a team where I start every game except senior night. And, I have to be okay with making mistakes. And I really struggled with that this last year. And that's something I've worked on through this summer is being okay with making the mistakes. Just like Caitlin Clark. That girl throws 12 assists a game, but she had, 8 turnovers. It's like she's able to let that not dictate everything. Because you can let a turnover turn into a bad defensive possession, and then you take a bad shot, and coach is going to sub you out of the game because you've just affected the whole flow. And she's not like that. She's one of those, I made a bad pass, let's go make it up, and I'm still going to drop 40 on you. Mm-hmm. And getting into that mindset takes a lot of film, a lot of mental work, and just a lot of confidence. You have to have a lot of confidence at this level. And a lot of times it comes off as cockiness in the real world, but I've always tried to be humble, but then getting to the point where you're not a doormat. And I'm confident in where I'm at as far as being a shooter. I'm always the next one's going in. I'm going to make every shot. I always talk to my teammates and it's this is going to be a good day. And you just got to speak it into existence. And positive self-talk and just leaning on your confidence at the end of the day.
It's how much is also you can't fear.
No.
And that's hard. You cannot, not only can you not fear failure, you've almost got to try to put yourself into positions where you're going to fail.
Yeah.
If you're going to, because that to me, I think when you get to the college level, what I've seen is, look, everybody can play. You know what I mean? And it's some of the stuff that you feel like you were able to get away with before, you're not only are you not technically able to get away with some things that you got to tighten up as a player, but just the way the coaches handle individuals is so, it's tough to not get into a place where you've got this kind of fear in the back of your mind. And then as an athlete, it's impossible to play like that. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to play with not just a lack of freedom, but just with this fear that if I don't make the exact right play every possession down the floor,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely has affected me as far as, because like you said, everybody's good at the college level. All of your teammates are capable of coming and getting you out of that game. And that's where being a starter was hard for me because you have to perform every day in practice. You have to perform in the games. And, not letting the coach taking you out of the game or, taking you out of the starting lineup be on your mind. Because if that's on your mind during the game, number one, that's selfish. And it's hard not to get caught up in that because you put so much work into this game, so many hours, especially at this college level. It's forced. Mm-hmm. You're forced to put in the hours, but then you're putting in extra by yourself because you love the game and you want to do well. And it feels like your world's almost collapsing whenever things aren't going your way and coach sits you down and you don't understand why. And it's next time I go in the game, I have to do everything right. But whenever you get in that mindset of, oh my gosh, it's all falling apart, I did all this work for nothing, and if I don't go and execute right now, then all this work was for nothing. And it's getting in that mindset of what happens is going to happen and not, the work should not be based on the result. You do the work because you love it, and you do the work because you know it's what you should do as a servant to Christ. Mm-hmm. You should always work as hard as you can, and it shouldn't be about the result, but not letting that affect your performance at the end of the day.
So back to what we were talking about a little while ago, 14-year-old Payton. Basketball is the absolute love of your life.
Yes.
I remember. Still is, for the most part. Mm-hmm. All your dreams about your future included the game of basketball,
Yes.
right? I mean, y'all were hooping in the driveway up there every time we had. I mean, it was a battle.
Yeah.
Worked yourself to the bone for every opportunity. You had a belief in your own ability, that you mentioned here a couple times, when nobody else might have seen the exact same thing that you thought you saw or that you thought you had.
Yeah.
And then all the places you've been with this game since then.
Oh,
and there are many, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the what do you call, I guess, the Mecca, if you will, UConn of basketball.
Yeah.
Ups and downs, disappointments that cut deep, mountaintops that take your breath away.
Yeah.
Since you were 14-year-old Payton coming home to sit down and wait. If that little girl would come home to you from that experience after getting cut and sit down and look to you, what would you have to say to her now?
Oh man, that's a great question. That really is. I would say don't let these failures affect you, because failure is a part of success, and failure is the early exit to any journey. You're gonna fail at anything. Like if you want to be good at anything in this life and take a risk and say like, I want to build a business, I want to do whatever it is, whether it's basketball, whether it's, in your professional world, you're gonna fail if you want to be elite at something. And I've always been very passionate about basketball, and so I would just tell her like, this is an opportunity for you, and you just have to take advantage of the failure and crave failure. Because if you're in a room where you're the best all the time, you're never going to get better. And I feel like my life has been full of those moments where, I fail, and then, you grow and you grow and you grow, and you get to a point where you're one of the best in the room. And I need to be somewhere else now. And I got to be somewhere where I'm that worst person. And seeking that is really difficult. And so that 14-year-old girl, like you just got to put yourself in a position to fail constantly. And that's
crave it.
Yeah. Crave that failure. Yeah.
That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a fact. You have to crave. It sounds counterintuitive, but you have to crave failure.
Yeah.
I think to really chase after what you want, because it's like, the reality is what that 14-year-old girl is dealing with, of like having to step up. I mean, if you're 100% honest right now, you're still dealing with the exact same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Like I hear you talking about like where you're trying to get, and just entered into, in your first year at Providence, entered into the record books, right?
Yeah.
Did some pretty amazing things. Started 32 of 33 games outside of senior night, every game. Put up 22 on a team from the ACC, had multiple great games throughout the season, had a great showing in the first half against Ozzie Fudd in Connecticut. But you're still doing the exact same thing that it's like you would tell that 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
It just recycles itself.
The work has never changed for me. And that's what the foundation of being good at something, and like the intensity has changed, obviously, but the hours that you put in will just take you leaps higher than you ever thought that you could. And that was my biggest thing whenever I went to JCA. Being homeschooled, it gave me the freedom in my schedule I would take myself to the gym, and that's a distraction-free place for me, because it's one of those, you have the opportunity to put in as much work as you want. And I kid you not, I would be in the gym 3 to 4 hours every day before practice. And this started my 10th grade year. And that's whenever I was told by several AAU coaches, like, you don't have what it takes to go D1 yet. Like, you're right on the cusp of getting these looks, but you're from a small town. You don't play for a big program. And, that was my separator, was and especially when it comes to shooting and developing skills like that, reps are everything. Intentional reps are everything. And I decided, for me to make it to the Division I level, what I would have to do to separate myself is I'd have to become an elite shooter. I'd have to be able to compete physically. So I had to get faster because I was really slow. So I had to become quick, I had to become fast, and I had to get strong enough to where I could take a hit. And those were the things that I really locked in on and focused in on. And yeah.
So when you went from 10th grade year, AAU coaches telling you you're almost there, but you don't quite have it.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to 3 years prior, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit different. I mean, they're telling you you're almost, it's not like you're getting cut.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, mentally, as an athlete, same situation.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet. And if you're being honest right now, you probably say you're still saying that to yourself to this day. I know you are.
Yeah.
But there was a day when all that changed. When you did get some big looks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, you were just like, walk me through that kind of, we went down the recruiting deal, football and basketball. Man, you talk about the wild, wild west, it's just crazy. Not knowing and thinking like, what team you're on, what tournament you're playing in, just seeing how all this stuff shakes down to try to get somebody to take an honest look at a completely unknown player.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're out in the middle of a big, vast ocean full of talented players. And then all of a sudden one day, like, what happened?
Yeah. So I was at a tournament going into my senior year. So it was my last chance to get like that look.
And so much pressure that last summer.
So much pressure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And there was a lot put on me. Like, it was echoed by my parents, and there was good intentions behind them echoing that. But the pressure had built up, and I had already had one tournament. And then the second tournament of April, I think we were in Atlanta. I can't remember exactly where we were, but it was the first game of the tournament, and it was a 7 or 8 a.m. game. And they had changed the schedule last minute to where we were going to play a prep team, DME. And I was playing on a grassroots, like super small team, and hadn't gotten any big looks yet. And I remember DME hadn't even showed up because they were guaranteed a win. The people running the tournament guaranteed them a win by playing us. And that's why we ended up playing them. So Miami sits down at that game. Providence sits down at that game, and Michigan sits down at the game during warmups. They haven't even taken their sweatpants off yet. And like, whenever I tell you, I was
They didn't
shaking.
come to see you?
Oh my gosh, no. No, they were there to see DME, yeah. Because DME is a big prep school in Florida. And my dad, I remember he was panicking. He had never seen anybody like that sit down. Like, I've had, a couple low mid-majors come to my games. And so whenever Miami, like, they were the first coach to show up, sat down, and I was doing my form shots like right in front of them. They were 10 feet away from me on the baseline. I was shaking so hard. And then I went over to my AAU coach, and I told her, I was just straight up like, this is my time. Like, this is my moment to prove it. And I wanted the pressure because I've been waiting to get these big looks. And I don't know, man, that game was the Lord. Like, there's no other description, because I played the best game up until that point in my career. Like, that was the best game I've ever played. I had 34 points, and I just went off. I scored on every level. I scored at the three. I scored at the mid-range, took it to the basket, and I was great on defense. And I was just a very well-rounded player that game. And I remember being like, I'm gonna get like some good mid-major offers from this. Like, I knew Miami wasn't gonna offer me. I knew Michigan wasn't gonna offer me. I knew Providence wasn't gonna offer me. But people would see the film of me playing against DME. And we barely lost the game by like 2, and I was super upset about that. But the DME coach came up to me and said, "Your life is about to change." And it literally changed after that. I remember.
Wow.
And it took 2 days because recruiting is weird and they can't contact you at the tournament. And so 2 days later, it was almost midnight in my room, but my AAU coach had called me at like noon that day saying that Michigan was going to offer me. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. This is fake. This is fake news. And I stayed up. I was like, if they're going to call today, I'm going to stay up all day until they call me. And I remember sitting in my room, and it was almost midnight, and a number popped up, and it said Ann Arbor underneath it. I was panicked. Oh my gosh, so panicked. And she picks up the phone, and it's Kim Barnes-Arico from Michigan, the head women's basketball coach. And I could have peed myself right there. And we talked for an hour. And at the end of that conversation, she said, "I've never seen you play, but my director of basketball operations said that she hadn't seen a kid play with so much passion and been so bought in and like have a performance like that. So I'm going to offer you blind." And that's like when my recruitment process took off.
Oh yeah.
From there. And in the recruiting world, whenever people see you get a big offer like that, other big schools offer you because they've seen that. So that's what got me to where I am now.
Took off from there.
Yeah.
And then that, the whole rest of your basketball life is like trying to capture that magic in a bottle from that one game, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like just that, how do you get there as an athlete?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like you were playing a team that was bad, so you shined when you're playing one of the better teams in the country, I would say.
Yeah, they were really good.
And this is not towards you, like you captured it plenty. I'm just saying, as an athlete, that's the part of it for me that I always think about as an athlete. It's just, what is it in a mental space like that and the pressure that you had in that moment that even like down to the way your nerves and your mind and your heart rate handled it.
Yeah.
That you can put on repeat, because it's not always like that, you know? Sometimes you get in those moments at the college level where it's like, man, I cannot figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on? You know? But the, one of the coolest things about doing something like this is I get to pick who I want to talk to. And I didn't even realize you were in. And I'd had a couple guys that schedule didn't work out that I was going to talk to. And I'm trying to kind of figure out, who I want to talk to next and this and that. And had a couple weeks off. And then I was like, I wonder if Payton would do this. And your family is extremely dear to me. You, your brothers, your mom, your grandparents. Your dad's all right.
He's all right, yeah.
I could do, no. Tori, your dad is an absolute oak to me. As you get older, I never really knew what friendship was from a Christian standpoint, what it was supposed to look like. Probably had a long line of like taking advantage of friendships, in my background. But your dad, he came in like, we went into the mission field together in the local church. I jumped full bore into full-time ministry and trying to figure that out can be a mess.
Yeah.
We planted a church together for a few months. You remember those days?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What was that building?
He's dragging you around in my crazy, we're planting a church. No, I went into the ministry and, was kind of doing it bivocational, just preaching on Sundays. And then I did that at a church for about a year, and we decided to go different directions. And so I didn't have a clue what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was staying in ministry somehow. And then there was 10, 15, 20 folks that were like, hey, let's just, let's continue to get together. You can call it a Bible study, you can call it a church, whatever. Let's just find a place and meet every Sunday. And that's not comfortable.
No.
No,
it's
we
not.
met in like this old community center, and then we met down at the at the fire hall.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad jumped into the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right. And then we went into full time, took over a church for 6 or 7 years, and trying to orchestrate what you see in the Bible today, trying to get a view of God that is biblically accurate amongst people, trying to get a church body to walk to the cadence of Scripture, and whether it be in worship or whether it be in how we practice our, what does Sundays look like? It's the hardest job on the planet.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
It is absolutely so hard. And Tori had a perfectly normal life for the most part, and jumped into the deep end with me. And I'll never be able to probably fully explain to him what that meant to me, because it's not just something that you go into by yourself. Like, he drug you into it. He drug your whole. I mean, you got no cool kids programs, in my church because Pastor Brian don't believe in it or whatever. And it's like, what?
Hey, we played sharks and minnows out on the lawn. It was a fun time. It was good.
But he's such a special person to me. Your mom is unbelievable. Your grandparents, all the way around. Yeah. I love them to death. How important is your family to who you are?
They are, besides God, like they're the most important. And my dad's the one that got me into basketball. He got me into, I look up to my dad a lot. Where I'm like the female version of him. I hate to admit that, but it's true, and everybody talks about it. And I don't know, my mom sacrificed so much to get me to like where I am in like AAU. And then my brothers, like, they pushed me. Having like little brothers it's like, you're a different breed of girl to like, be around just boys. And that really pushed me. And, my grandparents, they would drive me all over creation, like to the gym, just to go get like weights in the morning. Like, I had to get to the wellness center, and they would be the people to drive me. And like, it takes a village. People talk about it, but it does. And, I can talk about all the hard work that I did, but I'm nothing without them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unbelievable people.
Mm-hmm. And my dad was my high school coach. So
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That was fun. He was a great coach.
I can't imagine what a blessing that was. Mm-hmm. Just things went so full circle for you in a little 4 or 5 year window, and the way it ended up playing out for you, I was so happy just seeing all that stuff work itself out. And then just, the way you were able to handle the way it worked out with JCA and your dad being able to be involved in it. And it was just a beautiful story.
Yeah. Yeah. Praise God. He's the orchestrator of it. So
when you spend so much time as an athlete dreaming about playing at the next level, getting to the highest level you can possibly get to, competing against the best, when you get to the college level, in the back of your mind, like, the talent level is going to be higher.
Yeah.
And they say a rising tide floats all boats, but it can sink a boat as well. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not ready for it, it's a lot. Like, so as you step into that environment where you really start looking around and seeing what the next level's like, and you've seen behind the curtains of good, bad, in the middle. I mean, in 2.5 years into it now,
Yeah.
you've got a ton of experience, elite experience at just what it really is,
Yeah.
what it's like, what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Every parent of every teenage athlete in America that's traveling around playing some sport thinks their child is the next Power 4 stud.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the brutal truth of what really separates?
That's hard because
It is hard.
If you look at just the statistics of how many kids play at the highest level and just play in college in general, because it's a blessing to play at whatever level, NAIA, D3, D2, D1. But then like you separate the levels into statistics, like D1 it's really hard to get to, and then Power 4, the chances are so slim. And a lot of it has to do with talent, but a lot of it has to do with, did you play good at the right time?
Mm-hmm.
And most parents fall into the trap of putting so much pressure on their children as far as what reality is. And that was a reality I had to come to like recognize. And I remember whenever my parents sat me down and they were like, your dream is this, but you're not there yet. And that hurt to hear that from your parents. It's like that was a lot.
You're supposed to tell me that
you're supposed to tell me I'm gonna go play at Virginia Tech. Like, that's my dream. And I remember my dad, he was just like, they're not gonna recruit you. And that hurt. But having honest parents was a blessing. And being around the AAU community, seeing how many kids get the weight of the world put on their shoulders, where the parent's identity rests in the child's success and they're living through the child. And that, seeing that affect so many of my teammates made me mad at the parents. Because look at the statistics. Make sure your child is having fun. Because if they're working hard and getting value as a person and learning a team sport, learning how to handle hard things and having fun, that should be your main goal as a parent. It's like, yeah, they have these dreams and it's good to pursue your dreams at whatever it is in life. But whenever you rest their identity and your identity and their success, you create a kid who hates that sport, because your kid's not always going to be successful. And even if they make it to the Division I level, what happens whenever they sit the bench their whole career, or it's a struggle and they're battling injury? And it hurts my heart to see what is being put on kids, because I see the way that coaching is changing. It's hard to coach kids because kids are entitled and they all think they should be playing at this level. But a lot of it, it's hard work. And once you get to the Division I level, a lot of athletes end up hating it because of the time commitment that it is. So if your kid isn't ready to have their life be basketball for 5 years now and have their life be, hard physically, mentally, spiritually for those 5 years, and be so bought in to how difficult it's going to be in the highs and lows, then be okay with your kid just having fun and learning the values that basketball teaches. Because it's not about, going to college, because going to college it's great. You get your school paid for, and that's a really big blessing. But if your kid's not happy and is just depressed through all of college, and basketball is their idol and it takes them away from the Lord, then you just push them in the wrong direction as a parent.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it starts, it's a trap as a parent. And I've been I think, had I not known the Lord, had I not took seriously walking with the Lord and parenting with the Lord and being a husband with the Lord, and getting really uncomfortable about all the ridiculous flaws that I have that can get in the way, I can see how I could see how as a parent it's a struggle. For me, for us, we always tried to um, make sure that they were just being kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it gets so, I'm like, I've been coaching, I've been around parents, I've been around athletes for 15, 16 years. At the travel, in the travel space, in the local space, whatever. It's huge for you to be able to step back, I think, as a parent. I don't know what it is, but, and just realize like the most important thing in their life right now is probably spending the entire day Saturday fishing or riding a bike or out in the yard doing this or that occasionally, because it becomes so crazy when you get into the travel circuit, you know, and if you're traveling to Roanoke 3 days a week to practice, or Blacksburg 3 days a week to practice, and then we got in that thing, right? I mean, we were in Roanoke like 2 or 3 days a week practicing, and then we were in Indiana or Myrtle Beach or Atlanta, wherever up and down the East Coast, South Carolina, Friday evening through Sunday evening. We've got another kid at home who is just a mascot now as we burn the roads up. It's such a trap that I think a lot of parents fall into, that I've seen a lot of kids that just kind of catch the baggage of what these expectations for them are. And like, maybe it can be healthy. Yeah. You know, if you can get a parent to look you in the face like your parents did and say, you ain't good enough. That can be healthy. That's necessary, you know?
Yeah, it is.
But like, you got to be very careful with that. You know, you got to be very careful as a parent. I think just to be, I don't know, really honest about what that life looks like.
Yes.
For somebody to go to that level. I remember, and a lot of times you don't, as an athlete, I think it's just as important to get into a place where you see what that looks like. We went to Iowa to this unbelievable camp every summer called Snow Valley, and I started taking Collier up there in the 8th grade. I remember after his 8th or 9th grade year going up there on the way back, he was like, I see what's out there now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you just, like, you've got to see the reality of what the talent pool looks like, where you stack up, and then figure out a healthy way to approach it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember that first moment of like going to an EYBL tournament and seeing the top recruits. It was so hard for me to like get with the reality of the physical aspect of the game. Like you gotta be tall, you gotta be, you know, fit, you gotta play at a fast pace, you gotta talk. Like there's all these things, and it's like I don't stack up well against these girls. I remember that first moment in the 9th grade. I think it was 9th grade. And like you just gotta be real with yourself in that moment. And I can't imagine being a parent, because it's hard to, like, you want your kid to get their dream because you're their parent and you want to see them accomplish that, but then you don't want to cross over into being too much and being so, you know, all consumed with what travel basketball is and what the recruiting process is, because it's so much on your mental and physical and spiritual state.
Yeah, it is. It could take over your life.
Oh yeah.
Take over your family. Yeah, I could talk forever about the travel world.
Same, yeah.
It's so, like, the other thing I hated about it, I think at the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old level of playing basketball, the ratio of practice to game time needs to be like 90% practice, 10% game time.
It's all games.
And it flips.
Yeah.
So not only like, all the other baggage that comes in with the pressure and the finances or whatever it might be of actually making these things a reality, just being able to get there. As a player, it's not the best place for you to be at that point in time, to not just be playing basketball games like 90% of your life. I don't mean like good games.
No.
I mean like just repetitive game with no, slow it down and work on the aspects of your game. Now, when you get to the, as you go up, I think it kind of flips a little bit. It like does. The practice percentage, is still important, but it at least evens itself out,
Yeah, because you're throwing all these players from different states on a team, and you just can't get together to practice, and you give each other jerseys, and you go out there and you play 5 games in 3 days, and then wonder why your kid's exhausted, didn't do well. And yeah, the nature of AAU is ridiculous. I hate it. Hate it for kids. Hate it for parents. It's a money racket.
It sure can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially into some of the bigger teams. But, saying all that, it was it provided an unbelievable opportunity for you.
Yes, it did.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It is.
I think at the end of the day, there can be some really good things that come from it, but man, it's something you got to be very careful with. You're playing with fire.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're playing with fire. I heard John Piper. I was listening to a podcast of his a couple days ago, and he was talking about, it was something to do with somebody had wrote in a question about the absurdity of the amount of selfies and social media lifestyle and that whole deal with what happens in our culture nowadays. Seems like more so than ever. And he was kind of responding to that type of a situation. And he mentioned something. He read from Romans 12:1, and a bunch of other places. But in Romans 12, Paul says, let me get to it.
Something like, do not be conformed to
the pattern of
this world.
Yeah, right after that. It says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. And he started talking about the purpose of yourself, your body, your life, your gifts, your talents. And he said it this way, he said, you've been given what you've been given, not to exult in, but to exult with. So like who I am and what I'm good at and what talents the Lord has given to me, it's not something for me to stop and worship in myself. It's meant to be a tool that I use to glorify the one who made me this way. Whether that's the work you put into it, the cadence you work with, your mental work, all of your development, all of your practice, all of your play, everything. It's not repaying him, but it's worshiping him in gratitude with what he's given you. And because I was kind of preparing about talking to you and I was listening to that yesterday, I will say, like, I get that from you. I get when I hear you talk, and I've watched, videos you've done, and every time I talk to you about it, you're always quick to point towards glorifying the Lord with what you do, which is not something that a lot of 20-year-olds do. How important is just your understanding of the Lord, your walk with the Lord, how does that frame how you handle, like 2 weeks ago, I was with your parents, we went to Salem for the weekend, and, you're on FaceTime getting ready for church.
Yeah.
As we're having some coffee there, we're all talking. Your dad's extremely happy. He said you were joining a church.
Yes.
Or had joined or was in the process of joining.
Just got accepted, voted in as a member.
Yeah. Like how you're impressive in multiple ways, Payton. You really are. But for somebody who, seeks to walk with the Lord, and I know where I was at when I was 20, it wasn't the first thing in my mind, but I can see it and I hear it from you. Like how does that shape who you are as an athlete and how you approach? Look, you're very talented. The reality is you're repaying God with everything that he already owns.
Yeah.
And I feel like you get that. Like, I feel like
it's a daily thing. And a big thing with that is my freshman year of college at UVA. I always tried to give the glory to God because I knew he gave me these gifts and I wouldn't have the opportunity that I have without him. That I always knew that coming into college. But when you get to college, it feels like the world is at your fingertips. Regular students, they worship you. Everybody's you have so many resources.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to get caught up in my identity's basketball. Like it felt like it. I remember, and things were really hard at UVA because of that. And I remember it was about halfway through my time there. So after
things were really hard at UVA because your identity was
basketball. Yeah. And when basketball wasn't going well, my world fell apart. Like it literally felt like my world fell apart because I was wandering from God, and I wanted the things that you want the looks of, oh my gosh, like everybody loves you because you are good with this orange ball, and you get sucked into that. And your teammates are praised, and it's hard to not get sucked into it. And I fully got sucked into it. And I remember I literally had a come to Jesus moment, as far as the conviction was piling up, and it got to a point where it was like, this is not the Lord of my life. And I knew I just had to run back to God in that moment. And since then, life has just been different. And I wanted to make it a very important goal of mine to be a part of a church community in Rhode Island. And because even in Charlottesville, I went to church every Sunday that I could if I didn't have a game, but I wasn't connected. I went, I sat in church, and I went back. And I was so grateful to find the church that I found. And it was, God's divine grace that I did. My dad did research, and we showed up, and Pastor Kevin from Grace Harbor Church, just welcomed us. And it was a members meeting that we walked into, and he was like, "Oh, you can't come, but next Sunday, please be here. We want you to come." And I just have a great
relationship. Your dad told me about that. First time y'all walked in there, the guy was like, "You got to leave."
Yeah, you got to leave. Because membership is a really big deal. And now I understand why, because I went through the whole membership courses, and I just love that church. And it's been so good to have a community outside of college kids, because college kids are stupid. I'm an idiot. And I know that I need wise people around me to bring me closer to God. So I do discipleship with the pastor's wife every week. She's been an amazing woman in my life, and it's led me closer to the Lord. And I love going to church, and it gives me that relief from basketball. Because playing basketball there is cool, but it's what did you get from the sermon this Sunday? Those are the conversations I have, instead of every other conversation on campus is, oh, how's y'all's team going to be this year? What do you think your win percentage is going to be? Have you gotten better? What have you gotten better at? It's just basketball, because it's put up on this pedestal. And getting in the Word and praying and relying on God as your identity and your strength blessed are those whose strength is in you and whose heart are the highways to Zion. It's like yearning for the presence of God constantly. And that's hard. That's easy to say. It's harder to live. Very hard to live. So, yeah.
But I mean, that's the transition from, how do you avoid getting to college, finally reaching the place you want to reach to, and then it not becoming this thing that you find your whole identity in? I mean, even, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard.
Because you spend,
that's the thing, you've measured
6 to 8
yourself.
hours a day just doing this, and yet you've measured yourself.
You've measured yourself up to this point based upon that one thing.
Yeah.
And it just becomes the thing. And the funny thing about it is, and it's not just like God is, seeking the Lord as some trick to make these other parts of your life better.
No.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
It just, it puts your mind and your spirit in right order.
Yeah.
I think, in the sense that God is so much bigger than we think.
Yeah.
So much more than we think.
And we're so much smaller than we think.
So much smaller than we think, And if we're not careful, we create God in our own image, as opposed to the way Scripture says this thing plays out. And, as an athlete, that it's just like, it's one of the most slippery slopes that you can get on, because that thing, just the amount of time that I put into this.
Yeah.
And everything that I do is measured by this game. But I think it's just, finding a way to structure your life mentally around the fact that every single thing that you do in this game ultimately means nothing in eternity.
Nothing.
Yeah. Ultimately, 30 years from now, what you thought you did in a performance for this coach who was pushing you this way or that way ultimately means nothing in the grand scheme of your life.
No.
But it can just flat out drown you.
Yeah, it really can. And I've been there. I've been drowned by it. It's so hard, like you said, the time, because I feel like your identity is where you spend your time, a large portion of the time. So whenever you spend your time practicing basketball, and that's only for yourself, it's for your self ambition and achieving these goals that you've put out for yourself, like, that's not fulfilling. And the second it goes bad, like, your identity's gone. And what do you do after basketball in that case? But if basketball is a place of worship and a place where I'm going to use my talent to show Jesus, whether it's in my behavior and what I say, how I do everything is a projection of my identity. So my identity, it has to look different. My actions have to look different. The way that I show up in the weight room, the way I show up on the court, in the film room, it has to be different, and magnify that. And that's just the biggest piece for me, is my time. It's all basketball right now, but it's what are your intentions behind it? And my intentions have to be, this is for the Lord. And you have to check yourself on that every time you step on the court. That's
Matthew 5, right? That's what we prayed. Like, let your light shine before others, so that what? So that when they see your good deeds, they will glorify God.
Yeah.
So it's like, when everybody's looking at you and they see, like the way I would say it for myself, you could look at me and say, look, I know there's nothing good in him. You know what I mean?
There's nothing good.
What I see in him is pointing somewhere else. And that's, that's walking with the Lord in every aspect of your life. But it's so refreshing just to hear you. And, I've seen this kind of play out in your life. over the last couple of years. You've had some tough decisions that you've had to make over the last couple of years, right?
Very difficult.
You go. I mean, we just talk freely. Like like I think you said it a minute ago. Like my dream was to go be a Hokie.
Yeah, I grew up around.
And you had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was there.
Yeah.
And I know with offers and looks, you're getting a feel for what you feel from each individual place.
Yeah.
And you made a very hard decision, I would assume.
It's very difficult.
Maybe not, not just going to the Big Ten with the first place that offered me, Michigan. I mean, they're pretty daggone good.
Yeah, top 10 this year.
They were top 10 this year, right?
Yeah.
Not going to, right over the mountain, be a Hokie, where we all, want to go, coming up around here, choosing to go to UVA, and then everything changing.
Yeah.
Sort of. Without getting into the details of that, but like, what was that process like? Like, what did you learn about yourself? That's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm recruited. Boom. I'm Michigan. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All these offers are piling up. I'm not going, like, everything in your life goes into this decision.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a dream. Sometimes it's like, well, I'll take what I got and see what happens. You were in the former of those, right? I mean, it's a dream situation. You got these unbelievable choices, and then things went different than probably what you would have wanted them to go, what you had planned.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
It's completely different than what I planned, because I always wanted to go to Virginia Tech, like you said. That was the dream. And I remember when the big offers started coming in, and Virginia Tech didn't offer me immediately. That's whenever I started to look at other options, consider other options, because I thought that they'd immediately offer me, but they didn't.
And you were ready to seal the deal.
I was ready to commit. I was like, they offer me. From when they offer me, I'm saying, yeah, I'm going. And they just didn't, and time kept ticking, and I went on a ton of visits. I promised myself and to my parents I was going to go to the place that fit me best. And there were a lot of factors that went into that, so many. I had a spreadsheet about it, and because I'm just a very pros and cons type of person. And UVA was, it's kind of the villain story, I guess. I've always had that chip on my shoulder, like I was talking about, and I was like, this is a great school academically. Had the pieces I wanted as far as teammates, had the teammate piece, and had a lot of really cool things going on there. And it was close to home. I wanted to be close to home. I would have originally went to Providence if it were close to home.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to go to UVA. And I got that Tech offer, and I went on a visit, and it just wasn't for me. It really just didn't fit me. I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't trying to be a villain. It just worked out that way to where it looked like that. And yeah, that first year it was really difficult. And I'm not a big person that loves the transfer portal. I've always spoke down on it and how much loyalty means to me. But to not get into too much detail, they weren't very loyal to me. And I felt like the Lord was genuinely calling me to start over, as far as, because that was not a great place for me spiritually. And it wasn't helping me develop as a person the way I wanted it to. And so I knew I needed to make a change. And being close to home became not so much a factor when I saw the demand of my time at UVA, and I never got to see my family, because the hours that you're putting in, you don't have weekends off to just go home. So I knew I'm not going to get to see my family close to home. I'm not going to get to see them far from home. So, and this is a small period of my life, so that's what made me choose Providence, and the coaches are incredible. I love coaches at Providence, and it's a great school. And yeah, just handling those very difficult times, it was not easy. And the hardest element was the spiritual aspect of it all, because that's the driving force of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that last decision to go to Providence really helped me get to the place that I am now. And a lot of people question it as far as, why would you go to Providence, so far from home, Big East? You don't have any ties to them, but it felt like family and it felt like home. It felt like the Lord was leading me there.
Yeah. An unbelievable story. The it's just like growth from failure again, though.
Yeah.
In the sense of my plan failed,
Yeah.
so to speak. And most of them do, just for the record.
Yeah,
No.
they do.
But the amount of growth that you've had since that moment, I can't imagine.
It's unreal. Like I'm a completely different person from that, like, high school Payton, freshman Payton, even sophomore Payton. Like, I'm very different. And praise God, because like I've grown in these last 2.5 years just so much in maturity. So.
And it's like every point in your life where you reflect on how you've grown and how you've changed seems to like hinge upon these moments of struggle.
Yes.
These moments of failure.
Yeah.
Which I think ultimately point you to the place where we've kind of talked about off and on, of like your strength comes from, it can't come from you.
No.
It you know what I mean? Like, you're going to fail every time when it's dependent upon you. Well, we could go on for hours. I can't thank you enough for taking time to do this. I know it seems it's little and it's nothing, but I think there's a lot of young athletes around here, a lot of young girls around here who have the same mindset, the same hopes, the same dreams that you had just a few short years ago. It feels like a few short weeks ago.
I know.
Don't it?
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, it goes by so fast. But I'm hoping that, you know, what this serves to do is just, you know, we've got some unbelievable folks around here. Yeah. And you're one of the most unique young girls I've ever met. You've been through so much and you've handled it well. You've got a strong family around you. You've got a extremely strong walk with the Lord for a 20-year-old. And it's something that I find very admirable, very just unique and different. And I feel like I want people to kind of realize that people like you are real. You know, your story is so amazing. And
thank you.
It don't always probably feel like that.
No,
you know, waking up and putting in the work and dealing with some other failure that's coming around the corner next Tuesday or whatever. But your approach right now, man, stay the course.
Thank you.
Just stay the course. Job 41:11. I wrote this down earlier. I didn't really know how or why, but the Lord's responding to Job, and he says, "Who has first given to me that I should repay him?" The rhetorical answer is nobody.
Yeah.
I don't owe you nothing. Whatever's under the whole heaven is mine. And we've talked about this, and the framework that you lead with in your life seems to fit this. All your gifts are from him. All your gifts are through him. Nothing that we have in this life is your own. And I urge you to, and I'm so excited to hear that you are continually just laying your life at his feet every day, just as an act of worship and gratitude. And I can't wait to keep watching you knock down all these struggles and failures. And your approach is absolute gold. So proud of you. And really, again, so thankful for you coming in and doing this.
I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been a wonderful time talking to you.
Yeah. All right. Later.